Good evening and welcome to the Middle Creek Coaches Show. This is the Sports Block broadcasting live from Ruckus Pizza in Cary. I'm Ryan Magnuson and I am joined by Ryan Grover and, of course, head football coach Mike Castellano.
Gone through 2 days of, knock on wood, pretty good practice.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, you had a couple weeks to rest guys and to get ready for this upcoming game on Friday. What's the breakdown as far as the kind of format? How much rest and how much preparation do you do for the following game?
Well, we try to be about tempo, meaning that today was one of our shorter Tuesday practices of the year, and it was because we got things done quickly and well. Last week we kept Monday the same as always, which is a heavy special teams day, team meeting, watch film for us. Tuesday and Wednesday are work days, and last week we just shortened them a little bit. Thursday then we shortened it even more, trying to get in and out, get our work done. And last week, of course, the weather didn't help us a whole lot, but
right.
But that's kind of our plan. We try to do the same thing continuously. We believe in repetition. Hopefully, it's something that's positive for us, but you've got to do it the right way, and that's our main thing. Last year, to answer that question, last year we played Laney. First round of playoffs on Wednesday, we had an hour and 20-some minute practice, and everybody looked at each other. What do we do now? I said, go home. They did it right. So that's kind of our goal every day. If we can do it right, we get out of there. If we don't, we're going to stay there. Sometimes 2-3 hours to get it done. Sometimes it's been longer. Right.
Well, Coach, I got one last question before we let you out here the first time. What did you do on your Tuesday night off away from me and Ryan?
I was really lonely. Okay. We watched film and still did the same stuff we normally do. We practiced and we tried to get a little rest if we could too.
So you got along just fine without us?
You didn't miss us at all.
We missed you a bunch.
Well, guys, you are watching the Middle Creek Coaches Show live from Ruckus Pizza. This is the Sports Block. We'll be right back.
Ruckus was started 11 years ago in Mission Valley Shopping Center as a couple of college guys that wanted to have great pizza, a great bar, and a good time.
It is a ruckus. It's a good time. We've got live music 4 or 5 nights a week. And
my favorite's the food, though.
Your favorite's the food? Yeah. I think it's the staff.
Big TVs, great TVs. Wednesday trivia nights, there's just always something going on here. It's my favorite part of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, anytime you show up, there's always some different event.
Our menu is very varied. We have great hamburgers, great pizza, great pasta, great sandwiches, great salads. It's a very broad menu that has a great price point for today's time.
It's all homemade food, which I think is one thing that sets us apart. We get nothing in bagged or frozen or pre-made. It's all made in-house from scratch ingredients, and it's the best stuff we can buy.
We're famous for our New York style pizza. It's a huge 24-inch pizza with just right amount of cheese and sauce. And
all right, enough about the big pizza. Seriously, I sometimes still get a little bit long-winded, and this is a perfect fit for taking care of that.
It's great pizza. Ruckus is the perfect restaurant for families and children. Great kids specials, half-price kids meals on Monday and Tuesday night.
And we're open till 2 a.m., so the ones that don't have kids can come out and stay as late as they want.
Welcome back to the Middle Creek Coaches Show. This is a Sports Block broadcasting live from Ruckus Pizza. We are now joined by quarterback coach Mike Williams. Coach, thank you for joining us here tonight. If you could just start off by telling everyone a little bit about yourself, about your coaching philosophy, how you came to Middle Creek.
Sure. So I started, played a little bit in high school and college and got away from it, pursued a career, and was always wanting to get back to the game, and wandered back into it one time and helping out a bunch of PBs actually and how to warm up and stuff. And then I got a call from the coach of that team to go, hey, how would you like to be a head coach for a middle school age team? I'm like, what, are you crazy? And I took that on and learned very quickly there's some very essential things that you better understand in the game. And One of them is you better have a pretty good offensive line if you're going to do anything. So I'll just make a shout-out to the big fellas right now. You hear it on tape. Big guys, thanks for all your hard work. Nobody understands and appreciates the job quite like we do as coaches and your quarterback. So please keep it up. Did that for about 8 or 9 years. Decided to get the bug to take it up a level. Moved up to the high school level.
Yep.
Did that for a couple of years. Got a chance to coach just about every position in some regard, shape, form, or fashion. And was very fortunate to land here at Middle Creek. Moved to Raleigh to take a job. And I started looking around for who might need a coach. And I thought about all those other places like the Garners, Boo, and people like that. And ran across a school that was getting a new coach. And so I figured I'd take a shot with a new staff and sent an email to Coach Castellano, and he replied back, asked me if I knew what squeeze spill meant, and I guess I gave him the right answer. Here I sit.
The rest was history, yeah.
Yeah, but it's truly a blessing to be here. It's great. It's a top-rate organization, the school, from Mr. Martin on down. It's just so well done and so excellent. So.
Well, Middle Creek has had a history of producing very good quarterbacks. What do you have any particular theory on why that happens? Do you think it's all coaching?
Yeah, you find a guy that can throw it a long way and tell him to throw it to the right color shirt.
Very simplified.
Well, that does simplify it, but there is a bit more to it than that. So obviously you got to have a talented guy. That position is kind of unique because there's so many interesting things that have to go on. There's a lot of mental processing. Obviously he has to have some talent to be able to throw the ball, read defenses and whatnot. And then he has to develop the ability to just see it and do it without having to think about it. So as you develop and as you work with these guys, you have to teach them basics of things like footwork, throwing mechanics, things like that. And then you have to get them to where they don't even think about it anymore. So that they're unconsciously competent in what they're trying to do. So there's a whole series of learning stages that they have to go through to get there, and everybody gets there at a different pace. But if they have the desire and if they have the talent, they will get there.
So, talking about that kind of growth process and the teaching, how happy are you with the play and the progression of your starting quarterback, Brant Gristle, so far this year?
I think Brant's done a great job for us so far this year, and I think there's still an awful lot of upside left. I hate to use the word potential, but I think everybody can see it. I think he's going to be outstanding. It's just a matter of getting a few more reps and a few more snaps, and particularly the game situations and seeing the game speed, because game speed is not practice speed. You really cannot replicate that.
Right.
And then a lot of it is that mental processing side of it, and we work on that a lot. We talk about that a lot, and it's interesting because it's not something you can really drill. It's something you have to get to. Steve Young, when he retired, somebody asked him, why did it take you so long to retire? And his comment was, because I just now understand what I'm doing. The game has slowed down for me. And I knew exactly what he meant, because when you get to that point, it's magical. You can just sort of know what's going to happen and where to go, and you're not thinking anymore. You're just doing it. So that's when you know a guy's really David Salmon got there last year. Yeah. He's quite a talent, and I hope he continue. I know he will continue that at Campbell. So that's what we're trying to develop, and when that happens, it'll be very obvious because you will see it.
Well, when you're watching this team on Friday nights and you're watching this offense, do you kind of develop more of a daddy complex over your position? So, in other words, are you more happy over your quarterback play or as an offense as a whole?
That's an awesome question. That really is. Now, obviously, I want to see the guys I'm working with do well, but this is a team game. We're all a family. Right. And I want to see every position do well. I get to sit up in the booth, so I get to see the whole field and get a good idea for what's going on everywhere. And I don't have a particular guy that I'm rooting for, position I'm rooting for. I'm just rooting for everybody to do their job. And if everybody does their job, we're going to do all right.
All right. So every show we have questions come in from Twitter. But this one actually didn't come from Twitter. It came from Coach Castellano.
Oh, boy.
He wanted to know why on this bowling score sheet you have a score of 77 and he has a score of 151. About a double up there. He wanted you to answer
we were
that.
Playing golf. They told me we were playing golf that night.
Then you won.
And I went for the low score. So
fair enough.
Well, in that respect, you won.
Exactly.
Well, Coach, thank you for joining us. Once again, guys, you are watching the Sports Block live from Ruckus Pizza for the Middle Creek Coaches Show. We'll be right back.
Ruckus was started 11 years ago in Mission Valley Shopping Center as a couple of college guys that wanted to have great pizza, a great bar, and a good time.
It is a ruckus. It's a good time. We've got live music 4 or 5 nights a week. And
You know, my favorite's the food, though.
your favorite's the food? I think it's the staff.
Big TVs, great TVs, and Wednesday trivia nights. There's just always something going on here. It's my favorite part of Ruckus.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, anytime you show up, there's always some different event.
Our menu is very varied. We have great hamburgers, great pizza, great pasta, great sandwiches, great salads. It's a very broad menu that has a great price point for today's time.
It's all homemade food, which I think is one thing that sets us apart. We get nothing in bagged or frozen or pre-made. It's all made in-house from scratch ingredients, and it's the best stuff we can buy.
We're famous for our New York style pizza. It's a huge 24-inch pizza with just right amount of cheese and sauce. And
All right,
thin
enough
New York
about the
crust.
big pizza. Seriously, I sometimes still get a little bit long-winded, and this is a perfect fit for taking care of that.
It's great pizza. Ruckus is the perfect restaurant for families and children. Great kids specials, half price kids meals on Monday and Tuesday night.
And we're open till 2 a.m., so the ones that don't have kids can come out and stay as late as they want.
Welcome back to the Middle Creek Coaches Show. This is the Sports Block, broadcasting live from Ruckus Pizza and Cary. We are now joined by senior wide receiver Deante McDonald. Deante, thank you for joining us tonight. If you could just start off by telling everyone a little bit about yourself as a person and a player.
Well, I recently moved here from Cleveland, Ohio. As a person, I just love sports and love the game of football. Try hard at everything I do. Never give up. And that's about it.
Nice. So what do you think about the group of wide receivers as a whole this year, and how the ball is getting spread around, how Brant's slinging it to you guys?
As a group of our receivers, we get along well. We help each other out, make each other better. And Brant's spreading the ball pretty well. Look for the open guy, help win games. And that practice, help each other get better. That's about it.
So what would you say your role is in the offense? Play by play.
Do what my play band says, because if you don't, the coach will get at you. Yeah.
I've seen that firsthand.
Yeah.
So I asked Jay Schuler this question, and he gave me a truthful answer. So we need the truth from you too. But would you rather run a screen pass or a go route?
Screen pass.
Really?
Screen,
Can you explain
yeah.
that?
Love screen.
Randy Moss made a lot of money on that go
yards
route.
after catch guy?
No, I just like the screen.
Yeah.
Because,
Cool.
All right.
easier route to
Willing
run.
to get hit too, yeah.
Yeah.
What things did you as a wide receiver group kind of focus on during this bye week?
Catching the ball and running better routes and getting off the ball fast. Yeah.
And what do you think about this Friday, going to Wakefield?
We've been working hard all practice, and we're gonna try to go out there Friday to prove what we can do. What I know we can do, and try to get the W.
Well, what things do you focus on to get yourself ready to be the best product you can be on the field?
I think about my family and what we have and what I want them to have, and that's what motivates me to do better, so I can give my mom what I want her to have.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So to piggyback on that question, what are your plans for the future?
Either I plan on going to the Army and try to play football for them, or if not, I'm gonna go to college and work. I'm gonna go to college and major in criminal law and justice.
Cool.
Well, thank you for joining us. Once again, you guys are watching the Sports
Nerd.
Block, broadcasting live from Ruckus Pizza. This is the Middle Creek Coaches Show. We'll be right back. Thank you, Dad.
Ruckus was started 11 years ago in Mission Valley Shopping Center as a couple of college guys that wanted to have great pizza, a great bar, and a good time.
It is to Ruckus. It's a good time. We've got live music 4 or 5 nights a week. And
My favorite's the food, though.
Your favorite's the food? I think it's the staff.
Big TVs, great TVs, and Wednesday trivia nights. There's just always something going on here. It's my favorite part of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, anytime you show up, there's always some different event.
Our menu is very varied. We have great hamburgers, great pizza, great pasta, great sandwiches, great salads. It's a very broad menu that has a great price point for today's time.
It's all homemade food, which I think is one thing that sets us apart. We get nothing in bagged or frozen or pre-made. It's all made in-house from scratch ingredients, and it's the best stuff we can buy.
We're famous for our New York style pizza. It's a huge 24-inch pizza with just right amount of cheese and sauce. And
all right, enough about the big pizza. Seriously, I sometimes still get a little bit long-winded, and this is a perfect fit for taking care of that.
It's great pizza. Ruckus is the perfect restaurant for families and children. Great kids specials, half price kids meals on Monday and Tuesday night.
And we're open till 2 a.m., so the ones that don't have kids can come out and stay as late as they want.
Sports Block live from Ruckus Pizza in Cary. We are now joined by head cross-country coach, Asir Abushouk. Coach, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You got a nice...
and bringing your whole team?
Yeah, nice little
my
cheering.
pleasure.
We love when we get little cheering sections.
Woo! Cross country.
So, if you could start off by telling us a little bit about yourself as a person and a coach.
Okay. My name is Asir Abushouk. I am originally from Sudan. I moved to North Carolina when I was about 6 years old. I graduated from NC State. I majored in mathematics education, and I had a double major in statistics. And I came to Middle Creek this year. It's my first year teaching, and I'm the coach of cross country. I ran cross country for NC State for about 2.5 years, so I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit, but not really.
So how was that? What are the big differences for you? How was that transition going from a player to a coach?
It's absolutely amazing, like how different it is just being on the other side. You have to actually think about the workouts that you have to plan and like make sure you're planning them ahead of time before a big meet and stuff. So that's a little difficult, but I enjoy the team just like I did in college. I enjoy having fun with the kids and just running and doing the sport that we love.
So in your first season, what things have you tried to focus on to get these athletes ready for the season?
Ever since the summer, I've really focused on building the team community. Mm-hmm. I think that's very important. Really having fun on the team. We do Fun Friday almost every Friday, and just trying to build some camaraderie, do team building activities, and then training wise, I like to emphasize longer distances and longer intervals just to try to get them used to the races that they'll be in.
Right.
So, how is the cross-country team looking this year? Just like football, we're sort of into the beginning part of the season here. So how do they look so far?
We look very good, we've had 4 races, and we have 2 more coming up tomorrow and this weekend. But in our first big invitational in Wilmington, the girls placed second in the varsity division, and the guys placed third. We had one guy, Jack Colley, placed first place in the males varsity race, nice. And a freshman, Ellie Holiday, placed 4th in the girls varsity race. And then we had about 3 guys in the top 15 and 3 girls in the top 20. So nice. We're really good. We're just it's early. We're still building. And
well, if you could you speak a little bit on the format of how the season goes? I know you said there's team results and also player individual results. Can you just speak on the basic format of cross country?
Sure. It's kind of scored like golf. The lowest score wins. So if you finish first, you get 1 point. If you finish If you finish third, you get 3 points. So you try to finish as early as possible, and it scores the top 5. 7 runners run in a race.
Yeah.
But only 5 are scored, so your first 5 score for your team, and whoever has the lowest points at the end wins.
Okay. And I have this one last question to ask you. How many of your athletes do you think you could beat in a race?
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah. We'll try it one day at practice.
That's a fun Friday idea.
Oh yeah, fun
You're
Friday
welcome.
activity, team bonding.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, thank you for joining us. Once again, guys, you are watching the Sports Block, broadcasting live from Ruckus Pizza. This is the Middle Creek Coaches Show.
Ruckus was started 11 years ago in Mission Valley Shopping Center as a couple of college guys that wanted to have great pizza, a great bar, and a good time.
It is a Ruckus. It's a good time. We've got live music 4 or 5 nights a week. And
You know, my favorite's the food, though.
your favorite's the food? I think it's the staff.
Big TVs, great TVs, and Wednesday trivia nights. There's just always something going on here. It's my favorite part of Ruckus.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, anytime you show up, there's always some different event.
Our menu is very varied. We have great hamburgers, great pizza, great pasta, great sandwiches, great salads. It's a very broad menu that has a great price point for today's time.
It's all homemade food, which I think is one thing that sets us apart. We get nothing in bagged or frozen or pre-made. It's all made in-house from scratch ingredients, and it's the best stuff we can buy.
We're famous for our New York style pizza. It's a huge 24-inch pizza with just right amount of cheese and sauce. And
All right,
thin New
enough
York
about the
crust.
big pizza. Seriously, I sometimes still get a little bit long-winded, and this is a perfect fit for taking care of that.
It's great pizza. Ruckus is the perfect restaurant for families and children. Great kids specials, half price kids meals on Monday and Tuesday night.
And we're open till 2 a.m., so the ones that don't have kids can come out and stay as late as they want.
Welcome back to the Middle Creek Coaches Show. This is the Sports Block live from Ruckus Pizza in Cary. We are now joined by cross-country runner Caussin Carter. Caussin, thank you for joining us tonight. Could you start off just like everyone else? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. I'm a senior here at Middle Creek. This is my going on 4th year running. And it's been a big part of my high school experience for sure. I was born and raised in North Carolina. I've only moved out of the state for maybe 2 years, and that's about it.
Cool. So, how did you said you've been going on your 4th year, so how did you kind of land on cross country? What drew you to the sport?
Well, I had tried most other sports, but I never really clicked with it. And at least in the first week with cross country, I immediately found people I enjoyed, and it was really just a sport for me.
Yeah.
And, you know, running long distances and, you know, the sport in general, what has it kind of taught you as a person or as an athlete in general?
You're only as good as the amount of work you put in. Like cross country especially, you cannot slack, you cannot give up for one day, because that one day will set you back weeks. And it's very important to stay on top of your stuff.
Right.
So we talked to your coach, and he gave us a little bit of an update on the results so far and the potential you guys have, and you're obviously really talented. So from a player's perspective, how do you think this team looks this year?
This team is incredibly strong. Going in, we thought we're going to be hurting because we had lost a lot of our good seniors like Chilton Birdwhistle, Keith Hare, and Hunter Toms. But the underclassmen have more than made up for their loss, and we're a real powerhouse this year.
Yeah, I heard him mention a freshman and a
Jack
sophomore
Hawley,
that opened.
Jack Saha, Colin Brown. He's a junior.
Oh.
So.
Well, I have one last question for you, and it's really just from a personal standpoint. I've always wondered this, when I'm driving down the road and I see a group of cross-countryers running, how come all of you have your shirts off? Are you trying to rub it in people like me's face, or is there a strategic?
It's purely aerodynamic. We're not trying to rub it in anyone's face. We don't have to wear a shirt, so we're gonna go with it.
You look very svelte.
Oh, thank you.
You not per se. I don't know. I've never seen you run.
4 years of cross country. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I
Right.
mean,
All right.
I've been around.
Well, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Guys, once again, you are watching the Middle Creek Coaches Show live from Ruckus Pizza. This is the Sports Block. We'll be right back.
Ruckus was started 11 years ago in Mission Valley Shopping Center as a couple of college guys that wanted to have great pizza, a great bar, and a good time.
It is a ruckus. It's a good time. We've got live music 4 or 5 nights a week. And
You know, my favorite's the food, though.
your favorite's the food? I think it's the staff.
Big TVs, great TVs, Wednesday trivia nights. There's just always something going on here. It's my favorite part of Ruckus.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, anytime you show up, there's always some different event.
Our menu is very varied. We have great hamburgers, great pizza, great pasta, great sandwiches, great salads. It's a very broad menu that has a great price point for today's time.
It's all homemade food, which I think is one thing that sets us apart. We get nothing in bagged or frozen or pre-made. It's all made in-house from scratch ingredients, and it's the best stuff we can buy.
We're famous for our New York style pizza. It's a huge 24-inch pizza with just right amount of cheese and sauce. And
All right,
thin
enough
New York
about the
crust.
big pizza. Seriously, I sometimes still get a little bit long-winded, and this is a perfect fit for taking care of that.
It's great pizza. Ruckus is the perfect restaurant for families and children. Great kids specials, half price kids meals on Monday and Tuesday night.
And we're open till 2 a.m., so the ones that don't have kids can come out and stay as late as they want.
Welcome back to the Middle Creek Coaches Show. This is the Sports Block, live from Ruckus Pizza. We are now joined by senior cross-country runner Nicole Brugnoli. Nicole, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Could you start off by telling everyone a little bit about yourself?
I'm Nicole. I am a senior at Middle Creek. This is my 3rd year running cross-country, but it's my 4th year running with Middle Creek. Let's see. Basically, all I do in my life is run and do schoolwork because I'm a nerd and an athlete. So that's kind of how it works. But yeah.
Cool. So how do you kind of prepare, like going into a season for cross country, especially in the off season? Kind of how do you prepare for such a grueling sport like that over a long period of time? And then also, how do you prepare for like a single meet?
Well, since I run cross country, I also run indoor track and spring track. So my training basically never stops. But we start training specifically for cross country in the end of June and just train all through the summer. We build up our mileage each week. And so that's basically our training. And then every couple days we have a workout, which is like sprint training and more for like the turnover at the end of the race. But for an individual race, we eat a lot of pasta. We like to have big pasta parties with our team. In fact, like the other weekend in Wilmington for our meet at UNCW, I think I ordered about $200 worth of Olive Garden pasta. So that's what we do. We love pasta and bread. That's how we stack up on carbs. Drink a lot of water. Just try to keep your nerves calm and tell yourself, we mentally work through the race in our mind before we do it. And you just have to tell yourself, because you feel like you're dying the whole time. But you have to tell yourself to keep pushing through, and because it really is a mental sport, running.
Well, when did running become a sport for you and become like a major focus? Because based on your answers so far, it seems a major part of your life.
It is. In middle school, I ran sprints, but then when I came to high school, I did JV cheerleading for fall and winter, and then I did track in the spring. And I decided to try distance out because a friend of mine convinced me, and I just fell in love with it. Then I decided to go to the dark side and run cross country the following year, and I guess I just have been stuck there since, and it's great. And plus, runners are like the nicest people too. We're all really weird and stuff, but we're all so nice and we love each other.
So earlier you described the feeling as like you were dying, and then you said it's a whole lot of fun. So could you justify those two things?
I guess the feeling you get at the end of the race is very satisfying, especially when you PR, which is what we call a personal record. So when you beat your own record, that's a great feeling. And just knowing that all of your hard work is paid off. It's painful, yes, because cross country is a 5K. That's 3.1 miles. And we try to do that for girls in close to 20 minutes. So that's a lot of pain. But our old coach, Coach Henderson from last year, once said to me, you know, Nicole, you feel like you're dying, but there's not a girl out there that doesn't feel that way. Mm-hmm. The first place girl who crossed the finish line, she feels miserable, but she just got first place and just qualified for states. So even though physically it doesn't always feel the best, like the satisfying feeling at the end when you know that you did your best is awesome.
Yeah, that makes sense.
One last question. You know, I've tried running out a few times, and so this is where this question kind of stems from. What I mean, you said that, you know, the time you shoot for in a 5K is about 20 minutes. What do you think about for 20 minutes while you're running?
Not dying?
Yeah.
Well,
is it just pain the whole time, or thinking about what homework you have to do?
Well, I've actually had a lot of injuries, so that's kind of been a focus for me a bit sometimes, but I try to not think about that. I'll sometimes pick a song and just like sing it in my head the whole time while I'm running.
20 minutes of the same song.
Well, it depends. And then once you get to like, there's difficult parts in every course. So like over at Wake Med Soccer Park where we normally run, there's a huge hill that we have to run up twice. Mm-hmm. And there's like light posts going all the way up the hill. So I just tell myself, let's go to the next light pole. Let me make it to the next light pole. I'm going to make it to the next light pole.
Right.
So you basically just talk to yourself while you run about the race or about other things to distract yourself from it.
Well, very insightful. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Once again, you are watching the Middle Creek Coaches Show live from Ruckus Pizza. You're watching the Sports Block.
Ruckus was started 11 years ago in Mission Valley Shopping Center as a couple of college guys that wanted to have great pizza, a great bar, and a good time.
It is a ruckus. It's a good time. We've got live music 4 or 5 nights a week. And
you know, my favorite's the food, though.
Your favorite's the food? I think it's the staff.
Big TVs, great TVs. Wednesday trivia nights, there's just always something going on here. It's my favorite part of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, anytime you show up, there's always some different event.
Our menu is very varied. We have great hamburgers, great pizza, great pasta, great sandwiches, great salads. It's a very broad menu that has a great price point for today's time.
It's all homemade food, which I think is one thing that sets us apart. We get nothing in bagged or frozen or pre-made. It's all made in-house from scratch ingredients, and it's the best stuff we can buy.
We're famous for our New York style pizza. It's a huge 24-inch pizza with just right amount of cheese and sauce. And
all right, enough about the big pizza. Seriously, I sometimes still get a little bit long-winded, and this is a perfect fit for taking care of that.
It's great pizza. Ruckus is the perfect restaurant for families and children. Great kids specials, half price kids meals on Monday and Tuesday night.
And we're open till 2 a.m., so the ones that don't have kids can come out and stay as late as they want.
Welcome back to the Middle Creek Coaches Show. This is a Sports Block, live from Ruckus Pizza in Cary. We are joined once again by head coach Mike Castellano. Coach, this Friday we traveled to Wakefield to take on a team that is 3-0 and coming off a 42-11 win over Southeast Raleigh. Both teams as a team, Wakefield's averaging basically 40 points per game and only allowing 15 points per game, and Middle Creek is basically averaging the same numbers. On paper, that looks like a pretty even, a tough matchup. What do you think going into it?
Well, we hope it's an even matchup, at least one in our favor. We told our guys on Monday after we got all the film, we broke it down. We said it's big boy football. They're a really good team. They have a great reputation. They can move the ball against basically anybody they've played. They score a ton of points. They have a really good scheme. we looked at our special teams and we tried to find some weaknesses there, and they're well coached there as well. So it's going to be hopefully a good game, and it's a little bit of a trip to get there, but I think it's going to be worth seeing.
Another big game against another quality opponent during this non-conference season. Going into the conference schedule, how do you think this team has responded to playing tougher opponents and not taking a week off, so to speak?
Well, we practice not taking any time off. We always want to go 1-0 and win that day, but I can't figure out if our guys really buy in and we're just so young they're not smart enough to realize that we have a big game every week. Either way, I don't care as long as we get it done. And yeah, they treat every situation like a challenge, and I think they've done a decent job of responding to most of those challenges, and hopefully we can do it again this week.
Right.
So these tough non-conference games, does it really help later in the season going into the playoff situation when you're getting out of your conference, or?
Well, hopefully it does, as long as you're not too banged up or too injured. But that was our plan. We planned to play a great team, we thought, in Wakefield from the Cap 8, which has had a lot of successful teams. We wanted to play the best team out of Fayetteville, and E.E. Smith won their conference last year. And then obviously Garner, we know, is a local. Hopefully one day it will soon be a rivalry. We can actually win that thing one time. But, that was another team that won their conference. We wanted, teams that won their conference, teams that possibly could, help us different ways. Wakefield, they throw the football, so we get a chance to play against a team that throws the football. E. Smith is more of a power team. We wanted to face that. And Garner, obviously, we know they have a ton of speed, so we wanted to see that as well and see how we do.
So do you really know what you're going to see from Wakefield, or is it more of an expectation since they could kind of switch things up on you?
Well, obviously they're going to come in with some different schemes and some game plans that we probably haven't seen, but I think we went 3 times against them in 7-on-7 this summer. Obviously we have 2 games on them and know a lot of people that play against them. So, if they do what they typically do, they're really good at it. If they have different schemes, then it's just more of a headache too.
Yeah. Well, this is obviously, like you said, a team that you're somewhat familiar with, obviously more so than other non-conference game that you've played in the past, and you've echoed that they're well coached in pretty much every area. When you're looking on film, what things do you need to do specifically to be successful on Friday?
We've got to be able to put them in long yardage situations on defense. We've got to be able to get some turnovers and get off the field. Offensively, we got to change field position and put some points on the board. Not go 3 and out on quick possessions. And special teams, we cannot give up a big return, and we got to keep doing what we're doing by pressuring the punter. And hopefully he's on the field a lot. If he is, it's good for our team. And
right.
If their punter's on the field, hopefully we can get some pressure on like we've been doing the last couple of weeks. Just change field position.
All right, guys. Well, you were watching the Middle Creek Coaches Show live from Ruckus Pizza, presented by the Sports Block. We'll see you next week.